Okay, hello everyone. It's so good to have you all here, right? We're starting today our third live of this week, right? We're doing, if you're watching this right now, we're doing five live this week. All of them are focused on, your career, right? We'll focus on the future. Next week, we're gonna have TDC Future, right? That's gonna be an awesome event, and I'm putting the link right here. So if you wanna join us next week, uh, TDC Future, we have the basic pass that's completely free, so you can join us next week. So this week we're going to a series of lives with speakers and coordinators of TDC Future to discuss the future, right? So today we're going to talk about the future of skills, right? So what are the important skills for the future for your career, now and in the future, right? So let me start by thanking there's a lot of people broadcasting this live here. So whatever channel you're watching this on, thanks very much. So I'd like to thank Philippe that's here with us today. I'm going to introduce him in a minute for broadcasting to his channel. Let me thank SoJava, the Java Users Society that's broadcasting in SoJava's channel. The TDC, right, YouTube channel also is broadcasting this. Thanks very much. Let me thank Gabriel from Java Journey, right, that he's also broadcasting this channel. Mani Sakar, he's broadcasting to his channel, and Eyal is also broadcasting to his channel. Hopefully I don't forget anyone. If you're here in my community, right, you're also having this broadcast on your channel, right? So thanks everyone. Doesn't matter which community you are. If you want to, we want to make this very, very interactive. So if you want to ask questions, please ask questions in the chat. We're not able to monitor every single place where you can ask questions, but a lot of those places we're monitoring. So just ask questions, and we're going to try to answer everything that you say. If you can hear us, if you can see us, you can say hello on the chat right now, so we know that we are there with you. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce here our guest, right? So she works for IBM, right? She is a coordinator of the two tracks on TDC, the artificial intelligence track and the accessibility and diversity track. Let's welcome here Maria Augusta Torres. Welcome, Maria, or welcome, Augusta.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. My pleasure to be here with you. Great
That's
opportunity
awesome.
to share some ideas with the audience here. My pleasure.
That's great. So thanks a lot, Augusta. Awesome to have you here. So and he is an agile expert and founder of Mindset Agile, and he's a coordinator of the diversity and accessibility track on TDC, an agile specialist. Let's welcome Felipe Oliveira.
Hello,
Welcome,
you
Felipe.
guys. Hello, hello. Great to be here. Great for the opportunity to talk about skills and all they are facing today. Technology is the future, so let's face it.
Awesome. That's great. So you are watching us, please feel free to ask any question that you want, and we're gonna have a conversation. Let me start with the obvious question, right? Um, you know, so I'm gonna start with you, Augusta, but both of you can answer that. That's an easy question to start. We are here. Lots of people tell me all the time, right? Bo, there's so many things for me to learn, right? The technology is moving so fast. And all of that, right? And so, what are the important skills that we have to have for the future of technology, right? So, what we really should be working today to be ready for the future?
Um, it's not a basic question. It's $1 million question, because we are in a time of a continuous learning approach, and one of the aspects that this pandemic new way of life um, give us is this capability, and sometimes it's not so easy. We think that we have more time to study, more time to lives, more time to such and such, but in fact it's the opposite. All these are time consuming. So the best idea, the best gift that I can give to the audience is to organize yourself on which are the points you can reach. because if not, you're getting great crazy. So, for instance, if you want to learn on artificial intelligence, put a focus on it, organize your ideas on the basic skills around, because some skills are really new. If you talk years ago, I'm an employee at IBM on 30 years of IBM, and it's brand new set of skills we are talking about. So the great advice is to organize yourself about what is around this the subject we are going forward. So, and to do not get lost around.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
There's no
I agree.
specific. I cannot say, oh, study Python. That's not the way. That's no easy answer, you know. So
Right.
the very basic skill on this crazy time is organize yourself. It's a time organization, something basic.
Right. Well, that's an awesome skill to have, right? So organizing time. It's a
Yes,
great. It's a great. So
yes,
yeah, we
yeah.
can talk a little bit more
Uh,
about that, right? So let me say Ali Mulando, right? He say hello everyone in the chat. So ask your questions, Ali, right? So Felipe, how about you? What do you think is the most important skills maybe that we have to be learning today?
well, I think that when we're talking about skills, when I talk about skills for the future and skills for our century, right? We have for the past 50, 40 years, we have evolved exponentially, right? And we have evolved extremely more than we have done it since, I don't know, the last 500 years. And I think the main question is not what skills would you develop, but what skills you shouldn't develop, because there's so much knowledge, there's so much stuff that you can learn, that you can study, that you can look for, and if you start to think about it, you're gonna lose your marbles, because it's too much information, it's too much stuff. You can read all the books that you can have access to, and still you'll notice that you don't know anything at all. And so I think one of the main things you have to learn is to how to focus. What will you focus on? What kind of subjects? For example, I love history, okay, and I love every aspect of history. But nowadays, I'm focused on Roman history and Greek history, because if I try to study everyone's history, I'll lose my mind. And so when we're talking about technology and the future, and how much we are going to experience the future, and what kind of knowledge we need to have, I think time management has, as Augusta said, it is critical, because everything nowadays is focused on what kind of things we are giving our attention. So if you tell me, for example, if Bruno or Augusta, if you have children, they are some kind of they are competition for Netflix. They are competition for schools. They are competition for, I don't know, the shopping mall. So time management is critical. I would agree with that. But focus is a main skill. If you help yourself to focus on what subjects are more important to you and more important for your career and for your life, I think with those two main skills, you probably would get very close to achieving your goals or to being better. And
That's awesome.
also,
That's a, that's,
one simple thing about this kind of subject is, it's not just a skill for jobs, for work. It's for life.
That's right. Yes, that's funny that a lot of people think that the important skills are, what language I'm going to learn, right? So, and actually, the most important skills end up being those more life skills, right? So, let me just say hello to Andre Glassman. He's from Milwaukee, so good to see you here, man. And Shaheen, right? Simple but great advice, he says, right? So awesome. Thanks a lot, Shaheen. Thanks for being here with us. Awesome. Okay, so let me get one more person here. He was here with us on Monday, already discussing the future. He's a specialist on artificial intelligence. also coordinator of the London Java community, also participated on the coordinating the artificial intelligence track on TDC. Let's invite here Mani Sakar. Hey Mani, how are you? How are you, man? How's everything?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for sliding me in. I'm really sorry. I'm 15 minutes late. So that's one of the skills you must have. Be on time when you're invited, especially when Bruno and everybody else on the show has actually put some time aside. I'm doing really good. Thank you very much. Is a good day today. I feel very fresh, and so I decided, why don't I slide in? It's also a topic where I gave a small talk on, and I'm just looking for a link while I was, getting signed in, and I will share that. It's a
Mhm.
5 minutes lightning talk, and it's about essential skills. But you'll be surprised, I haven't talked about the essential technical skills in it at all. I've talked about things what you just have been discussing just now. Felipe has been really touching on really important topics, and I'm going to share this link with you. If you can share it with the rest of the audience,
Yes,
it
man.
is it is about 5 or 7 years old. So yeah, I can see the date. 2016 is when I gave the talk. So it's about 5 years old, the talk, but I feel it's quite relevant even now. And I try to touch as much as possible from the non-technical angle in it. And if it goes above your head, that's okay now, because maybe eventually in time to come, it will sink in. So I really plus one, a big plus one to what Felipe said, because he really touched on the things we never consider as skills. We never think that those are skills. When somebody says skills, oh, can you code really quickly in IntelliJ IDE, or can come up with a web server or run a web app? I mean, those are okay, but more important than that, there are other things. So sorry, I added a bit of summary as well, in addition to what Felipe said. So
Yeah, that's good,
that
man. So
fuses
it's
with
good
my
because
introduction.
you already came here answering the question, right? So that's great. So thanks for joining us, and you know that you're very welcome. Just slide in anytime you can, because the whole idea is to expand this discussion. Actually, I
Sure.
do have a question here. Well, first of all, Andre Glassman, right? So let's talk about we need another Javis group tour, right? So yes, we do, Andrew. But I can come to Milwaukee virtually, right? So anytime you want, let me know, and I can totally be there, because I did a Javis group tour, and I went to visit Milwaukee, right? So that was awesome, and Andrew was there. So thanks a lot, Andrew, for that. Now, Edric Clay says the following: as an engineer manager, I really value people that are focused, but is still adaptable to changes in a fast-paced environment. So I think that's a big discussion that we have, right? So Augusta, what do you think? This whole thing about you mentioned time management, and we have this thing that everything's going fast, right? Is really thinking changing that fast? Is that a reality or just an impression?
I don't think it's an impression. It's really going fast, and even worse, it's going fast and totally different than we used it to be. So this requires us to be more adapted, or to find new ways to work, to find new ways to have a focus. For instance, for example, in the past we discussed the focus, the capability to pay attention, but to focus nowadays is much more complex than this. Talking a little bit about accessibility, because I'm part on these topics around.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some employees that are neurodiverse people, and discuss focus with them, and to discuss hyperfocus is a totally different matter. So nowadays, as we will start to go to a new moment where we are discussing if we go to stay on site, or if we go to a hybrid model, or if what else is the model the company is going to, we should discuss the focus and the environment to support this. It's it will be a new, I guess, a new world to discuss the focus. and the way we approach it. For for instance, for a programmer which needs the capability to stay in silence or no interruption, and how to move from this live environment to a real environment with people around us.
Right. I think that
My
focus have
guess.
yeah, I think that focus has just two big things, right? Two main things. One is the focus. I'm able to, like you were saying right now, I'm able to focus on something for a period of time, right? And I think we can talk about some strategy for that. But one thing I like to say about focus, that a lot of people think that focus is what is the technology I'm going to study, or what is the language I'm going to study, and we kind of think like, oh, if I focus on Java, I can't focus on Python, right? I'm going to be missing things. And for me, what I've learned is that I know if you take a page from the entrepreneurs, right? Focus is actually not the technology you're going to use. Focus is the problem you solve, right? So for example, Felipe has a company, right? Mindset Agile, right? So his company has a focus. What it solves a specific type of problem, and I'm sure he has all kinds of skills, all kinds of people, all kinds of technology they use, all kinds of things, but all of them are target into
Yeah,
fixing one focus. So for me, every time I talk about focus, is about what problem we solve, right?
yeah. The point is, Bruno, there is no one single focus each time anymore. We can manage capability to focus at multiple aspects at the same. That's the challenge. It's tricky. That's because if we think of focus to go activity one by one, or step, or card, or story, agile story one by one, there is no way out. Nowadays it's a kind of a matrix. You
Right.
figure out multiple at the same time.
Okay, let me just say hello to Ariane. Ariane, she's going to be here on Friday, right, to talk about the future of work and the future of testing, right? So, hey, Ariane, good to see you here. So, look, guys, I want you to ask questions, right? So, you're watching me here. Ask your questions, because I have lots of questions here, but I want to hear your question, right? So, Money says here on the chat, my focus accelerating developers to make them go faster. That's an interesting focus, man. So that's has everything to do with what we're talking about here. So do you think that we need to go faster, Money? Okay. So money got so let me ask another question here, right? So we talk about all kinds of different skills here. Talk about time management and focus, and like being focused, but actually have a larger focus. So how do you guys improve your skills, right? How Felipe, how do you study? How do you improve your skills? How do you practice?
Not sleeping at night.
Not sleeping at night.
Well, a few years back, I don't know, 10 years ago, I taught myself a simple but very useful value. Okay. And I think that will help everyone out, right? You can learn anything you want. Every human being can learn everything they want. Of course, some people might learn faster. Some people might learn in an easier way. Some people are, for example, can learn music in a more efficient way, right? Um, my wife tells me that I can learn playing drums faster than her because I have a more skills in that specific subject. So that's something that I taught myself. I can learn everything. And Augusta said that, well, I'm gonna miss things. You will always gonna miss things. I'm always gonna miss some kind of topic. I'm always gonna not learn something. I know jack squat about physics. I know jack squat about chemistry. I know jack squat about biology. Um, I know jack squat about algebra. I'm always gonna miss something, right? And 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 that's something that brings some peace to your mind. If you know that you're always gonna miss something, I'm going to focus on these two, three, four subjects that are more important to me right now. So, uh, um, the first thing that I always like to do is keep reading. I enforce myself to always keep reading, no matter what. I need to read. I need to read 1 page, 5 pages, 10 pages, 20 pages a day. I need it because that's one of the main ways to learn. Right. For example, yesterday I sat on my hammock, and I spent, I don't know, a half hour reading this book. Right, has nothing to do with my work, but it's something that I wanted to read. So it's something I'm learning about yoga and about how we can learn to be better. So I need to read at least 10 pages, 20 pages a day, and that's a rule that you can create for yourself. That's the first thing. The other practice that I use to learn is keep buying and attending to courses. So I taught myself I need to attend a course, some kind of study group at least once a month, once every 2 months, because if I don't do that, I start to get anxious. I'm not learning, I'm not participating, I'm not joining people, and I'm knowing new stuff from other people's experiences. So I keep doing that frequently because I need it. I need to be updated, and I need to be a person that get it's connected to everything that is going on.
That's great. How about you,
Cool.
Augusto? How do you practice? How do you improve?
Yeah, I tried this approach to read in a daily basis. There is some phone apps that support it. They give us some advice about what to read for 12 minutes,
Mhm.
and I try to use it. What I use it to do is to try to do some different and to discuss this with a diverse team, to do not stay all the time with the same subjects with the same people. So even though I'm not reading, maybe I can go for a chat with a
Mhm.
person that's nothing around this subject, and I I tell what's the issue, like a daily on an agile ceremony. I tell you, my problem today is such this and this, and out of blue, some ideas come up from the person we never expected before. So discuss the basics with someone else outside of your current circle is something that I use it to do. But I appreciate the advice of Felipe. I try it, but I'm not so well on this. I have a lot of books
Me
and
neither.
I wish, yeah,
There are
yeah,
some days that I spend, I don't know,
right.
3 4 days without reading a single page, and
Yeah.
that starts to get itchy. I need to read. I need give me a book.
Yeah, I'm an avid and fast reader, right? So I read a lot. I mean, I read every
Wow.
day, and I read a lot, but about a lot of different topics, right? How about you, Manny? How do you practice?
So yeah, now
How
just
do
to
you
answer
improve?
your first question about speed, I have a quote that says, "Slow motion is the fastest way to move." Right, and it has multiple meanings in it. If you think about it, when you move fast, you miss out a lot of things, but when you move slow, you are able to cover more grounds, and that actually answers the previous question of, because life is moving so fast and it's not a perception, it's reality, we are not able to grasp it. But if we don't worry about the way things are happening around us, but move at the speed which you can grasp things and relate to things, then you will not feel this overwhelming feeling. So, and coming back to your question on how do I learn, how do I practice. So I used to first, like Felipe and Maria, read a lot and try to join groups and chat with people, but I've reversed it a lot now. What I now do is try to do is what you said earlier, focus on solving a problem. So it could be a non technical problem, it could be not related to computers. and I will try to do it practically. And of course, it's going to be slow because I don't know much about it. Then I will go and try to read something about it, but again, come back to the practicality of it, and then go and read something about it. I've noticed that going reverse has not only helped me in computers itself. Like, I learned a lot of programming languages and learned a lot about programming by first trying it out, right? I didn't read a book about it because in those days when I started, books were extremely expensive and you couldn't afford to buy a book. So, but you could get compilers for free that you could play with and write, programs. So, but then I noticed that when I did that, when I started reading, I understood what I did much, much better. Then I also have done the other one where I read something and I tried to do it. Like I was trying to learn Kotlin a couple of weeks ago, and I noticed that by referring to the book and reading, is slowing me down in a different way and not giving me the experience. Whereas if I opened up the IDE and looked at different pieces of code, try to compile them, change them, and then go back to the book, then I would have understood a lot more, because that's how a lot of us are wired. At least for me, I like to be able to do something practically and then go and look at the theory. And also from the practice point of view, if you read a lot of theory, it'll be hard for us to place that knowledge that we get from theory into the different aspects and practical aspects of that in your business life, work life, personal life. I don't know. This is how I experience and feel about it. So that's how I've been learning and practicing. And less discussions, only when it's necessary. Discussions are good and enriching, but not like start all the discussions and then go to practical stuff. Do the practical stuff. You're stuck at something, discuss that specific thing with an individual who may or may not know about it.
Yeah, I love the fact that you're saying that you're doing more practical things. I love that, and actually, there's some comments on the chat about that. But just before we do this, because we're getting about the halftime here, so let me quickly, just kind of invite everyone. If you're watching us here, remember that next week we're going to be doing the developers conference, and it's going to be it's an awesome event. So all of those people here will be speaking and are coordinating tracks, right? So if you want to go deeper on whatever topic we're discussing here, that's going to happen next week, and especially on skills, right? We're going to have 2 days of career track on TDC, and that's completely free. You can participate, and doing those tracks, we actually have several hours of mentoring, right? So we're gonna do career mentoring for you to discuss about the skills that you need, right? So I just want to especially for our friends that don't speak Portuguese, I just kind of quickly show you how to access the event, right? So if you come here, let me first put the link here first. So if you come here to the link that I'm going to put on the screen right now, right, ddevconf.com, right, you're going to see this page here. There's going to be TDC Futures, the last one of the year. So you can click here, and now I'm showing here the page in English, right? So all the pages translated to English, but don't click the register for free here button, right? Because that's going to take you to a Portuguese page. Let me just kind of show you that you have to scroll down a little bit. You can see all the tracks that's going to be going on. Here are the English tracks, right? So the Connect Pass tracks, those are all English tracks. So you can participate in a lot of content in English, and a lot of this content is for free, right? So you can scroll down a little bit here more, and then you see this orange button here, Register Now International. That's the button you need to click, right? So here you can come to the international registration page, where you can, you're gonna get you here for the tickets, and the basic pass is completely free. So come here, join us, completely free. There's a lot of free content. You're gonna have access to the Stage International, to the career track, to the accessibility track, right? So you can see all of that totally free. If you want to, there are also other things that you can do, right? You can join the special tracks here for you to go deep on things, but join us on the basic tracks completely free, and I hope to see you next week, right? So just gonna go ddevconf.com, and I see you guys next week. All right. So let me go here for the questions in the audience, right? I'm actually gonna do just 2 comments here that you guys might want to comment on. So Sebastian says, well, actually, Ali has a question here. He says, well, let me go to the comments first, right? So Sebastian makes a comment. Thank you for sharing in practice the different ways of practice continuous learning. Yes, so that's great, Sebastian. Yes, we have to be continuously learning, right? I think that's the thing that we got to do all the time, right? So Elderciel says, I remember one, right, and only one phrase from DHH, the guys from Ruby on Rails, right? That he told the audience in 2008, learn things that are out of the technical scope, art, philosophy, economies, and so on, right? 13 years later, I cannot agree more. That's what Felipe was talking, right? So he's reading about yoga, right? So that's awesome. And Andre talks about, advent of code is something I do for practice every year. Andre, if you want to clarify a little bit more, but what I believe the advent of code is that you get this period before Christmas, and every day you experiment something different, right? So maybe that's what you're talking about, the advent of code, right, Andre? Let us know if that's what you're talking about. Okay. And so, well, there's lots of other comments here. Now, there's a question here from Ali. He says, does that mean that mastering one craft like Java at a time is no longer so relevant in this fast-paced world? So what do you think, Augusta? That's what the thing you're talking about. Do you think that just practicing one craft at a time is not relevant anymore?
Not exactly. I believe that there is space for people who learn to be a generalist and people to be more specialist. So we do miss and we must have a Java specialist. But we also need in our space some people generalist capability. So both scenarios are needs. But by the time that we are learning, our mind's capability is to learn one thing at once, except for the neurodiverse team. They have a totally different approach for learning. But for typical brains, we learn one topic at each time. But it's a must to have a Java specialist. I don't know if the person who asking is one of them, but it's truly a must.
Yeah, I like to say that we are in a specialist world, right? So no, so look, the developers conference is an event that talks to developer and technical people, right? So if you're a developer, for example, you are one of less than 1/4 of 1% of the population, right? So that means you're already a super specialist, right? So
Yeah,
don't
we
be
need
afraid
it.
of being a specialist.
We need it. But we do need the generalist team as well,
Right.
Yeah, it's the T shape. If you remember on Monday, I was talking about the T shape skill set, where you are broad on the top and you have a specialist, at least one or maybe two specialist columns. So then it's no longer T if it's more than one, but it has to be in that structure. So I couldn't agree any more on what Maria is saying about the generalist specialist combination. And this is something, if you remember, Bruno, every time we talk, we touch this, right? Because we
Right.
no longer are in a world where we're only using Java. And that's the mindset we need to come out of. And that's why learning how to write programs is the skill we need to develop. Learning how to solve a problem is the skill we need to develop. How we solve it is a secondary question, right? Because a problem can be solved in many, many different ways. There is no one way to solve it. There are infinite number of combinations of solutions to a problem, right? And Java is one such solution, or combinations of Java and something else, other sets of solutions. But but knowing how to go about that is the skill, right? It's not just doing knowing about to go about it only with Java. And what is to say that if you're a Java specialist, you don't know how to solve a problem in another programming language? Maybe you'll struggle a little bit the first time, but you already know how to solve problems. You already know how REST APIs work. You already know how web servers work. You already know how the operating system works. You already know so many things already by doing writing code in Java. You don't need to worry about becoming a specialist in Java. Of course, if it's necessary, you do. But you also want to be flexible enough in thinking and open enough in thinking, I actually can do this in another programming language. I can do it in Python, I can do it in Ruby, I can do it in Scala, I can do it in Clojure. And every time we look around, we're seeing examples of this, right? So many people are putting up websites written in different programming languages. They do the same thing, but the problem is solved slightly differently, right? But those same people are also programming experts in other programming languages. So these are examples before us to say exactly what Maria was saying about generalist specialist combination.
Yeah. So
There's a compliment, another compliment, but I'd like to add something up about this, and it's quite interesting because if you look all the things that we have to, or choose to learn, it's quite a challenge to become a specialist. Because if you're going to talk about, for example, the T-shaped model, we're talking about someone that has a specialty or a few specialties. We need to invent another letter for this, but it's a double T, right? And there are other skills that are more broad. But for example, if you're a backend developer, you have great knowledge about C# and about .NET and .NET Core, all its frameworks. But you also need to know a lot about APIs and how to create database. And it's also learn about DevOps, because surrounding DevOps, you have all the infrastructure about it and all the architecture surrounding the subject. And also you need to learn a little bit about business roles, about all the business metrics that the company use, because that's how we're going to deal with that. For example, if you work in banks, if you're a developer in a bank environment, you need to know those subjects. You need to know about their specific metrics. You need to know specific financial rules. It's kind of a challenge to be a specialist. If you're talking about agile, for example, agile experts and agile coaches, okay, they know about Kanban and they know about Scrum, but they have to know about product development. They have to know about design thinking. They need to know, even if a little bit, about DevOps, what it means to do continuous delivery or continuous integration or automation, and you need to know about some kind of tool, Jira or Azure. It's difficult to talk about speciality because you are more and more getting out of the specialist suit and becoming a wider person with a wider mind. And the thing that I think that somebody talked about other subjects, philosophy, economics. Well, I think that's true, because we can only know about our present and our future if you look into the past. So we need to learn about history. Right. And if you want to manage your money in a more efficient way, you need to know about economics, about the financial world. And if you don't want to depend on the government when you're old, you need to learn about investment. You need to know about a stock exchange. You need to know about how to save money. Right. So it's quite difficult to become a specialist nowadays.
Yeah. So that was Elder Clay that talked about many things. Yes. Awesome. Okay. So now I'm gonna introduce a topic here, because I think that we're getting to the end of our conversation here, but I want to introduce a topic that we're discussing here in our private channel that I think is very important. But I'm going to introduce that with Ariane's discussion, right? So Ariane talks about, when you talk about skills, right? We always think about the hard skills, of course, right? So, but how about the soft skills? They are as important as some hard skills. So she talked about communication at the very end of her question, right? Actually, let me just kind of put her whole question here, because it's very long, right? But one thing I want to start this discussion with, right? I want to talk about communication. I think that's very, very important for me. I think that from the 5 main skills that a developer should have, I think that communication is the skill that will make you grow faster, right? And so but before I talk about communication, because that's the question I want to pose to all of you. But before I talk about that, I just want to clarify one thing about this whole thing about hard skills and soft skills, because I have a little passion for that, because I think that developers have this idea that what we do is a hard skill, right? And then we kind of shun the communication skill. But let me tell you what, soft development is a soft skill. It's not a hard skill, right? Let me quickly explain to you the difference between a hard skill and a soft skill, Ariane. So because that's an important thing. A hard skill is a skill that is, it's not hard because it's difficult. It's hard because it's precise, right? So for example, typing on the keyboard, that's a precise skill. The faster, I mean, the more precise you move your finger, the faster you're able to do that, right? So a hard skill you learn by repetition, right? So typing on the keyboard, throwing the ball on the hoop on the basketball, hitting a golf ball, you control your voice, right? All of those are hard skills because they are precise. The more precise your movement is, the more precise your definition, the better you are. A programming language, that's a precise skill. It's a hard skill. Now, the soft skill is the one that's not precise. It's malleable. Every time you apply, it's different, right? So the whole point is not repetition anymore. Is actually what we call pattern matching, right? You have to find a situation and you apply a different strategy to solve that problem. So problem solving, software development, doing a music show, right? Actually, playing the guitar is a hard skill, but doing a music show is a soft skill. So I want to tell you, everyone, the difference between hard skill and soft skill is how you learn, how you get better on the skill. But everything you do in your life is a combination of hard skill and soft skill, right? So for example, when you develop software, there's a soft skill of software development, solving problems. That's a soft skill. But there's a hard skill of typing on the keyboard and a hard skill of the programming language. So it's always a combination. So think about the skill in a way for you to learn, right? With all of that, so sorry for this long introduction, but with all of that, she finished talking about communications, right? And I was going to read one thing that Felipe wrote here in our internal chat. And he said, creating content, right? I've made more than 130 videos talking about several subjects that help me to understand and teach people. And I think, so Felipe, a lot of people ask me this, right? So, but Bruno, if I just share my knowledge, if I just create content, I'm not improving. And here you're telling exactly the opposite, right? You're improving because you're sharing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Because, well, human being is a learning, living thing, right? And the way we learn is to establish connections, synapses, and everything. And when we are trying to create, for example, if we create, I've made a video about the theory of constraints, right? And so I can make that video, I need to kind of make a connection in my mind with examples and situation that I would apply that kind of information, and how I practice with that. So I need not just to make some research, but I need to apply it, and I need to compare it, and I need to know how it presents itself in several situations. And also, a few years, 2 years ago, I've written a few articles comparing mental experiments and with agile. So I compared, for example, agile coach with the prisoner's dilemma, and I compared the agile coach with a cave metaphor, and I compared the agile coach with the Monte Cristo book, the Alexander Dumas book, and the Count of Monte Cristo. So this type of connections in my mind taught me that I could represent the information in all different ways. So if I'm teaching, if I'm speaking, if I'm talking with people about that specific subject, I'm trying to create different kinds of connections in my mind that would bring people on other kinds of approaches for that specific subject. So if I make a video, if I make several videos about that kind of information, I use practical knowledge. I need to create different kind of connections with that specific knowledge in my mind, so I can use examples, so I can and show people how to use it, and when to use it, and why to use it. So making content and creating videos and creating articles and books is it's a part of your brain that is trying to present people a different view of that specific subject that they can understand, and they have to understand in a better way than you can, because you've probably learned from a theory or from a practical or from failure. They need to learn from example, so you need to provide them with a better example that you have already got, so that's how by creating content, by making videos and writing articles, you kind of learn, because you need to discover a simpler way to write that. You need to learn a simpler way to provide knowledge, and that's how you can learn, by creating content. That's my way, at least.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I
Awesome.
couldn't agree. I couldn't agree, any less than what Felipe has said. That because look at your example, Bruno. You've been doing this for longer than us, I think, for sure. And if you see, so many things led you to do so many things, and in return, you learned a lot more as well, right? And it's adding to your knowledge and experience every time you're presenting, right? Every video you've created is an accumulation of information, data, knowledge, skills, experience from the previous video that you created, and so on and so forth. Not just that, those videos are leading to you writing articles, writing books, sharing other contents via email. Like, I get a lot of emails from you, and they're really good content. They don't go into the junk folder. I make sure they don't. And this itself for you is an example for yourself as well, right? You create content to share with everybody, but in the process, you yourself are also developing, but you're also helping other people develop. And Philippe said something really good. We learn from failures when we are creating a content, but our audience is learning by example. And I am a big proponent of learn by example. And hence, I am not a big proponent of, oh, go and read a book, because it's great to read a book. And of course, I'm not going to take that away from anybody. But it's even better to read and learn from example, right? It's like this 45 minutes or an hour we are spending with all of you here and all the audience listening to us. I think it's a lot more valuable for them than to read 10 pages of maybe the most important book
For
on this
sure.
planet, right? Because this culmination of knowledge comes from four different people who have read and have experiences and have knowledge that they want to share from four different streams of their lives. And so that is irreplaceable, and this is automatically dynamically created, as opposed to a book is static, right? It only got printed 10 years ago, 1 year ago, 5 years ago, and it has not changed since then. But our knowledge has changed in the last 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, 1 hour, few days. So that's kind of my synopsis of
Many
I agree.
that's interesting. That's very interesting, because, for example, I don't replace, for example, courses and books, or videos or books, right? I think they are different kinds of approaches to get knowledge, and they are not interchangeable per se, because the book is more profound. It has a lot more information, but there's a few things that are interesting. First, some books, they were written in a specific context,
exactly.
from a specific environment. That's the first thing. The second thing is, as you already said, if I read a book today, I'm a different person than I was 5 years ago. So if I read now that book from Jeff Sutherland, Scrum, right, I'm reading with a different perspective. So
Exactly.
I know that, for example, not that I know, but probably I would say, no, this doesn't work.
Mm,
Not in
exactly.
my experience, not in my environment, not in my company.
Yeah.
And if I read Kanban now, and 5 years from now, I read it again, I say, no, no, this is bullshit.
Yeah, but
Or
you have been able to come to those conclusions only by
yeah,
working with a lot of other people. If you were
yes,
only somebody going to the library and reading all these books and have had no experience with people, especially, and the world around, the practical world around you, then you couldn't come to any of those conclusions. I mean, I'm willing to bet a lot on this, because we only come to conclusions through life experience. Life experience comes through interacting with people in the real world. Interacting people in the real world means working in environments where those things are practiced. If you worked in academia
Yeah.
and no Kanban or no Agile was practiced, you couldn't read the book and say, no, Bruno is wrong about Agile, or Filippo is right about Scrum, right? Because it's totally out of context, right? So the context,
Yeah.
as you said, the context comes in, and that's when the book helps kick in. But life is always full of context, and then that is very irreplaceable compared to what a book will capture in terms of
It's the
context.
start, right? Is the starting point of your knowledge.
So
Sure.
so
Yeah,
so
I agree.
yeah,
Just
look,
one comment.
yeah.
I heard some studies about this subject, and it was said that when you read, you may forget. If after you read and teach, it's you remember much more. If after read, teach, you even more experience it, like you are saying, reduce the chance to forget about. So I
Exactly.
think it's a kind of chain, right?
Yeah.
Starting
Yes.
from the reading that we can forget to the experience as we are right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
think what you're
Augusta,
talking about,
please.
Maria, is called Learning Triangle. I'm going to quickly share a link to it. And many of my presentations, I share this link, not this specific link, but the link about Learning Triangle. In my presentation, I have a couple of slides on Learning Triangle. And what you just said, reading is actually right on the top of the pyramid. And if you say
Mhm.
presentation or workshop or a discussion like this is towards the bottom of the pyramid. The top of the pyramid means you gain least from it. The bottom of the pyramid or triangle, you mean you gain most from it. And that also, and the content creation is somewhere in between, because there you also gain a lot. Okay. And
Yeah,
content creation, giving a workshop, running a coding session, doing what Bruno is doing just now, all of that is towards the bottom of the triangle, because you gain a lot from that. And people who engage themselves, they also absorb a lot from that. That's why I was saying that if people were reading 10 pages of a book as opposed to listening to Bruno's streams every day, which will be 50 pages in a week, the 50 pages may or may not give them that 1 day's experience, as opposed to getting the 5 days worth of experience. And you may try to read 250 pages or 5,000 pages of something, and you may still not get the same experience, right? Because this is 4 times that 50 pages or 4 times that 250 pages, right? And it's very dynamic because we've learned from our experiences,
yeah,
which is sometimes beyond the book. Okay.
Okay, guys.
I,
So
I, I'm not anyway trying to bring down the value of reading a book. You can see the bookshelf behind me. I'm a big book collector because I
yeah,
love reading and I love books. But there is a way around it, not to get too tied into just reading, and not doing what Bruno is doing and Felipe is doing and Maria is doing, practicing, applying, thinking around it. Sorry, Bruno. I think I stopped you from saying
no, no,
something.
that's all fine.
Please.
It's all great discussion. It's just like because we have a little bit of in terms of time here, and so
Mhm.
there's one. I just want to read some comments here from the audience, and then there's one question I want to make to Augusta so we can start finishing this. But there's a lot of comments here. Actually, let me try to scroll back here. From Elder Clay talks about something that he learned about andragogy, right? Help people in their development, right? So that's great. Ariane is talking about the testing track. So yes, come to the TDC next week for the testing track. Elder Clay says, perfect, Manny. Junior developers always write code, right? Best developers solve the problem and realize when new code is not needed, right?
wow,
Yeah, if you have a time, if you have a chance, take he's showing an article here. They might want to take a look later. Uh, Ariane says, I agree with you, but it looks like the people search improvement technology skills, right? It's important, but the difference is in the mix, right? Good explanation, bro. Thank you. Thanks, Ariane. Ali says, thanks for sharing. Great content, guys. Thanks, Ali. Ariane says, nice, Felipe. Awesome. And then Elder Clay says, 10, 20, 70 is about that. Thanks, Maria Gusta. So awesome. And then Ali said, Jug have died in Africa. Could you, Bruno, have some discussion about that? What can be the solution about sometime tomorrow? Yes, Ali, let's talk about that tomorrow. And Ali, if you have a Javis group or anything like this, I'm very, very happy to run a series of sessions with you for people in Africa. I'd love to do that. I've been doing remote for different Java groups in Africa. So just ping me, Ali, and let's work on this together. Let's let's revive, right, the Java group in Africa. That's awesome. All right. So with all this comment off, Augusta, you mentioned a couple of things. A couple of times you mentioned here something that I don't really know what it is. You said that people that are neurology diverse, right? So
Neurodiverse, he meant.
neurodiverse. So think
Neurodiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
neurodiverse, right? So and I think that the whole discussion here for people that have you mentioned that people that are neurodiverse have different ways of learning all that. Can you talk a little bit about that? So if you have someone in the audience that's struggling and might not realize, right, might be incompetent like I am, right? I don't know what that is, right? So can you tell a little bit so maybe someone else can connect with that?
Yes, sir. The neurodiverse terminology was created by Judy Singer, which is a sociologist. By the beginning, it was addressed to the people with Asperger,
Mm-hmm.
autism, and also TDAG and other aspect around the way our brain works. That's a way, easy way to explain it. It's about the way our brain works is different than the way a person with autism and other syndromes works with. Nowadays, there's a huge number of people with autism unemployed. It's about 85% in the world. So it's a massive number of people.
Mm-hmm.
We do start to move this. I had I mentor in a hackathon just for autism, and there's a lot of initiatives around. Nowadays, in my team, I do have employees with Asperger, so I would stay a whole day talk about this here, Bruno. It's but neurodiversity. Think about in a way uh, of our brain work is slightly different.
Okay.
It's not a broken mind, it's
Mm-hmm.
just different.
And
That's
Bruno,
awesome. So if any of you have any, is struggling, right? That's the thing I wanna point out. If you're struggling, and maybe you're having difficulty to learn things, maybe you can't catch up with things, come talk to
Contact
Augusta, right?
me.
Maybe
Contact me.
yes, come talk to Augusta, and maybe she can help you out. Maybe she can figure out something that some different ways for you to think, right? So talk to Augusta. Awesome.
Yep.
Bruno,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Augusta, for lending your help and support, and Bruno as well for doing that. Because as she pointed out, 80% of them are unemployed, and these days, at least in the UK, I'm seeing, and in the US as well, many companies are saying or asking in their application form, "Are you neurodiverse? Do you know if you are?" And they're also helping people with autism to join their company and work with the other people. And so the big broad word here is anybody who's different is now becoming he's been encouraged to become part of the otherwise so-called normal group of people. So there is this acceptance, but it isn't as widespread as we would like it to be. And so something like this, what you two have just done, is going to help a big chunk of people for sure, especially in the software development community.
Yes, there's a lot of people around.
well, neurodiverse is a very interesting subject because I live with somebody who has which is a neurodiverse, and if you think about it, there's a lot of stuff about it. There's ADHD, there is bipolar
Hmm.
disorder, there is high. It's about I forgot the English term because it's about people that have excellent skills in specific subjects, right?
Hyper
And
focus.
and one of the main things that we have to consider when we talk about neurodiverse people is because they are so good about some things, right? Because the way they focus is different, the way they learn is different, they read faster, For example, my wife reads, I don't know, 60, 80 pages in 2 hours, and I want to kill her because I read 20 in 1 hour and a half. So
You don't need to get discouraged by that, because if you're reading fast, and again, I'm not discouraging the person who's reading fast, you're not necessarily grasping all that you've read in that 1 hour or 10 minutes.
No,
You could be
yeah.
reading slow, and you could be going into a deeper thinking, right?
Yeah.
Which is a lot more profound and not measurable, as opposed to reading 100 pages in 10 minutes, which
Yes,
is
but
different
the
measurement.
point is, people that are neurodiverse, they are often judged
Yes.
because
Yes.
they are extra smart or because they are excellent in a specific subject, and because people are not, or because they are not so good at it, or because they are different in a way, or because they learn in a different process, they get misjudged. And there's a lot of insecurity surrounding it. I've
Yeah.
done it. I've been a person like that it's quite insecure surrounding people that with those kind of skills. But it's something that we need to understand. Their brain function in a different way. That doesn't mean they are better or worse or something or anything like that.
Fully
For
agree.
example, my wife is highly efficient, and is extra smart about several things, but that comes with a price. He's
Yeah.
extra sensitive about light and about food and about smells.
Exactly. But
And
one of the drawbacks you will also see, or one of the lacking, or disadvantage you will see in neurodiverse people, is their soft skills or their social skills or socializing skills may not be on the strong side,
yes,
and that can put
that's
them
why
that
people
can
with
put
high
them
IQs have such low interaction.
exactly, and that can put them into a disadvantaged position, and which means that people may not take them as seriously.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
in fact, there is no rule. Some of them are good communicators. Some
Yes.
of them are not able to speak,
Mhm.
and that's the tricky point.
Exactly.
What's the challenge when there is no rule? Because someone like the example Felipe provide can be a good reader, but the other one can be a good listener. So it's it's a interesting.
Yes, that's
Augusta,
that
so
that
you.
is a topic, right? That as Augusta said, we
It's a
can speak
whole
about it for a
the
while.
whole
Yeah.
Yes,
afternoon.
I
Yeah,
did not
I,
look. I
I
did
think we
not
need
want
a
to.
track. I think we need a track on TDC just for these kinds of topics.
I
Right.
fully
There is,
agree.
there is,
I
how
fully
about an
agree.
accessibility and diversity track on TDC?
there is,
Oh,
there is.
good.
Yeah.
So
There's
Augusta managed
I
that,
thought there
right?
is
So
a
that's good.
diversity track. I thought there's a diversity track
yes,
already
there
this
is.
year.
Yes, we do have, right? We
There
do
was a
have. So
specific
congratulations,
talk
Augusta,
about
for running that.
ADHD. We're going to talk about ADHD, which is the attention disorder.
Yeah.
In the main subject is about the disorder itself, but we're going to talk about neurodiversity. It's the
Yeah.
So
last
so so
talk of the day.
Right.
so
So
Bruno,
so so
next week, Bruno, you
both Augusta and Felipe are running the accessibility and diversity track next week on TDC, right? What gives me a great excuse, right, for me to just kind of invite everyone here to join TDC, right, next week, right? So I'm just gonna quickly show you because I think that's important for us to uh, um, oops, for you to realize, right? So when you come here for ddevconf.com, I'm going to put the URL right here on the screen right now. You can come to ddevconf.com and you're going to see that page here. You click here on TDC Futures, the last one, the one in November, right? 30th of November. That's going to be next week. You're going to get to this page here. Notice that, the page might be localized and you might see the page in English. But what we're going to see is that the Connect Pass track, those are all the tracks in English. And you scroll down a little bit here, you're going to see the Register Now International. That's the orange button right here. That's the button you want to click, right? So when you click here, it will allow you to register for the international event, the English event, right? If you're Brazilian, you can read the page, so don't worry about that. But I just want to make sure that you get to this page here, and that's where you can register for the Basic Pass International. It's completely free. You can also join for other specific tracks if you want to, but the Basic Pass International will give you access for both the career track and also the accessibility and diversity track. So you can participate on that discussion next week in a much better. So the talk. So Felipe is saying the talk is going to be being successful with ADHD. Right, that's the talk about neurodiversity next week on TDC. Okay, all right. So let's just kind of say the last thing. So we're a little bit out of time already. So I'm just going to invite you guys to kind of to just kind of say goodbye to the audience. But I just want to thank a lot of people here. So thanks, Evaldo said good afternoon. Thanks, Ariane, to say thank you. Thanks, Elder Clay. Thank you guys for precious time. Right? It's actually, I should be showing this here, right? So thanks, Elder Clay. Thanks, Ariane. Right? Thanks, Evaldo. Right? Who else is here? Shaheen says learn and practice. Right? So that's good. Right? Awesome. And then Allison also had a training in Coursera talking about learning how to learn. Okay, good. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Awesome. All of that. So, Augusto, do you want to say goodbye? Last words?
Last word is thank you very much. I'm open to keep talking on LinkedIn. You can find me and just continue the conversation. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Pleasure to be here with Manny, Felipe, and you, Bruno.
That's good. Thanks a lot. How about you, Manny?
Yeah, I say likewise the same words. Thank you very much, firstly, Bruno, for having us here. And thank you, Augusta and Felipe. I've learned lots of new things and able to also reinforce my personal understanding of these things. So it's a positive reinforcement for me. And I hope everybody else has learned a lot as well. And we can continue our conversations on social media. You can follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn, and we can have the same conversations there. And we've got 3 more days, right? Or 2 more days, tomorrow and the after, right? Of sessions with Bruno, and again TDC sessions next week. So looking forward to seeing you there, and thank you very much to everyone, including you, Bruno.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Manny. How about you, Felipe?
Well, I'm extra excited because this is my first talk speaking in English, so it was great. It was great, great to know you guys. Great to talk with all of you, Manny, Augusta, Bruno. I'm going to follow you also, Manny. Thank you for the advice. He just destroyed my learning agenda. Okay, but.
Sorry for doing that.
lots of links here, but that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, I recommend you get many of these books behind me here. You'll need another life, just like I'm trying to get.
There's tens of books right here. I'm
more books there as well. Okay.
Right. Yes, Felipe.
3 lives.
Felipe has a lot of books there too. Yes.
No. And also there's Kindle. And so thank you. So thank you guys. That was great.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us here. Thanks everyone for participating. I know, thanks all of you, Augusta, Manny, Felipe. It was awesome to have you here. You're all invited if you want to participate in the next couple of days, right? And thank you that's watching us here. Thank you for all the questions, all the comments. It was awesome to be here with you, and I'm looking forward to see you tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to discuss the future of software development, right? So best practice and technology for the future. And on Friday is going to discuss the future of work and future of testing. Okay, so thanks everyone. Awesome to have you here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. Thanks, Felipe.
Okay.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.